Hello, we welcome you again to another class session on R language primer from our Learn Data Science series. Today's chapter is on vectors. We have mentioned all these types of data types in some earlier chapter. Today we'll take these up one by one. We have started with vectors. There are 6 types of atomic vectors. Logical, which will be true or false. Integer is whole numbers. Double is decimal values. Complex will be numbers with the root of -1, where we use the English alphabet I. Character is what we display and it's human readable. Raw is where you're displaying the ASCII code of the character. A single value in R becomes a vector of length 1 and is one of the 6 types we have discussed in the earlier slide, and we are demonstrating it in this screen and the next screen where we are running the programs. So you can see that we have said print true, which is a logical variable, print 37, which is a integer, print 23.56, which is a double floating value, print 6 plus 2i, which is a compound number, a complex number, print hello world, which is a group of characters, and the function char to raw prints the ASCII codes of these characters, the hello world. So this would be the output, as you can see on your screen, for each of those lines mentioned earlier. We run the same program through the R console to see the output produced by the R language. We strongly recommend all our viewers to download and install R and run the programs to get a hands-on experience. Our first lesson shows you how to download the R and install it. Now we'll look at a vector with multiple elements where you use the function or we use the facility of sequence of numbers. So the first sequence is from 1 to 10. The syntax is 1:10, and the vector we are using is called A. So A gets the value 1 to 10. In the second, we have got 5.5 to 10.5 as the sequence. It will increment by 1. And in the third, we have 2.1 to 9.7. Just to illustrate that the final value need not be a part of the sequence which we are creating. So the output from 1 to 10 is straightforward. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The second example, we have 5.5, 6.5, 7.5 till 10.5. In the third, we have 2.1, 3.1, etc. till we come to 9.1. The final value of 9.7 will not be reached. You can see the output from the R console, where you have the 1 to 10, you have this 5.5, 6.5 up to 10.5, then you have this 2.1, etc. up to 9.1. There is another operator called the SEQ operator, which can specify the start, stop, and the increment values. In the earlier example, the increments are all in steps of 1, unity. So here we can specify the step size. For instance, in the example, we have print the sequence 1 to 10, and then we have an additional parameter which is by equal 0.5. So when we run this example, we should see a 1.0, 1.5, a 2.0, 2.5, 3.0, etc. till they come to say 8.5, 9.0, 9.5, and 10. Okay, now when we run this in the R console, you can see that we have 1 to start the row which starts with 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, and then we have 15 indicating the row, starting of the row 8.0, 8.5. Whereas on the screen here, this previous screen, we have shown 1 and 12, where the 1 is the first value and then it goes on till it comes to 6.0, which is the 11th value, and 12 comes on to the next line where you get 6.5, 7.0, 7.5, etc. In our example here, the first row has 15 values, 14 values. That's why the second row starts from 15th value. We have seen the C function a number of times and you need to understand what it means. If the one of the elements is character type, then the non-character integer values or character values are also forced to character types. Logic and numerical characters are also converted. For example, we have the word hello world, 25 and true. When we print the string, we get hello, the world, the 25 and the true contained within double quotes. You can see the same example from the R console, where whatever you have typed in has appeared in double quotes. Accessing the vector elements. Indexing is used to access the elements. When you have multiple elements, you can pick out any element you want. Index values start from 1 and then it goes on to 3. A negative index value omits the element in the result. A 0, 1, true or false can also be used to pick up the index value. 0 and false will omit it, true or 1 will include it. The index values are to be included in box brackets. Now we have a number of examples. We have taken the months January, February, March up to June and assigned it to a string, a vector called P. And the first example prints the second, the third and the sixth content of that vector P, which will be February, March and June. As we can see in the output, February, March and June. In the second example, we have used the words true and false, where the first is true and the last is true, which means we should get only January and June. As you can see on the screen, the second output is January and June. In the third, we have taken negative indexes, -2, -6. So it's going to omit the second value and the sixth value. So we will not get February and June. So we get January, March, April and May, but there's no February or June. Then the last example, we have logical values which are 0, 0, etc. And only the final is the 1. So we know that we are suppressing the earlier values and displaying only the last value. As you can see, only the Jan has been displayed. So when we run through these examples, so we get the same output, we get our February, March, June, April, May, etc. So we get the values from our string. Now vector manipulation is possible. We can add two vectors, addition or subtraction. So the first example, we have created two vectors, test1 and test2, where there are 6 and 6 in each vector, elements and numbers. So when we add the two vectors together, each element is added one at a time. So if we see, we get 5 plus 6, which is 10, 10 plus 13, which is 23, 6 plus 0, which is 6, and so on. In the second example, we have subtracted the two vectors from test1 minus test2. So you take away the values. So it will be 5 minus 6, 10 minus 13, and so on. So we get a minus 1, minus 3, 6, and so on. In the third one, we have got the multiplication of these two vectors. So we just multiply the values. That will be 5 into 6, which will be 30, 10 into 13, which will be 130, and so on. And in the last one, we divide test1 by test2, where we're dividing 5 by 6, 10 by 13, etc. And this is the output, as you can see on your screen. The same example has been run through with the R console. You can see the output You can also work it out. Please run the examples in the console to see how the output looks like. When two vectors are used and one vector is short of elements, the elements are reused again and again. For example, we have created test 1 with 6 elements and test 2 with only 2 elements. Now test 2 is used repeatedly. The values in test 2 are used repeatedly. So we'll have 5, 10, again 5, 10, again 5, 10 till we have the right number of values to match the values in the first test 1 string or vector. So when we add the two together, it's like adding that 4, 9, 5, 6, 1, 12 vector with 5, 10, 5, 10, 5, 10 vector. So you can see the output for both for the addition and the subtraction. So you can see the output. Then we have another function which can rearrange the data in a vector. It is called the sort function. So sort by default will sort in the ascending order. It can sort strings or numbers. So we'll sort the data first, where we say sort dot answer is assign the value of sort and the data test data 1. That's a string we have created. The second example, we are trying to sort the data in the decreasing order. So we have to say decreasing equal true. Then we are sorting based on character vectors. It's basically an alphabetic sort, where we have the rock, bottle, etc. And we can also rearrange the characters in a reverse order, that is the descending order. So the output would be lowest to highest, minus 11 to 512. The reverse would be 512 to 513, minus 1. Then we also have a look at the strings we have put in. We have bottle, rock, violin, yard, and again reverse of the same order. You can go through our example which are keyed in the R console. Feel free to re-examine all the earlier classes so that we brush up our knowledge of R thoroughly. We thank you for attending another session of our Learn Data Sciences series, the R Primer, and specifically for today's class. You can go through all our earlier videos, can leave your feedback on YouTube and or you can mail us at datumscientist@gmail.com. Trust yourself, you know more than you think you do.